So I want to start off with a few lines from one of our very finest poets, Elon Musk. Atheism left an empty space, secular religion took its place, but left the people in despair, childless hedonism sans care. Maybe religion's not so bad to keep you from being sad. Yeah, he actually tweeted that, or X'd it, or whatever it is these days. But that sums up for me this thing that I like to call the new theism, which is this resurgence of Christianity under the guise of it being a useful political or social tool to fight against the enemies of quote-unquote Western civ. It was the term, although I like the term and I've been using it a lot, it was coined in this sense by Ed West in The Spectator last year. He defined the new theism as the view that, or the argument not that religion is true, but that it is useful and that Christianity has made the West unusually successful. Essentially, Christianity is responsible for just about everything nice about the West. And they take a lot of inspiration from Tom Holland, the historian who, not Spider-Man, whose 2019 book, Dominion, outlined this view that we swim in Christian waters whether we know it or not. That all our most cherished ideals, including somehow secularism and gay rights, ultimately come from Christianity. Yes, it is. There are a lot of people who... am I okay to be heard, by the way? It feels a bit... Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of people that one might label as new theists, including the likes of Jordan Peterson, and perhaps most famously or infamously, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who is actually unique among these new theists in having formerly been a new atheist, alongside the likes of Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens. When she announced her conversion to Christianity last November, in an article in Unheard, she didn't mention the name Jesus Christ at all, not once. A new convert to Christianity. No, she justified her conversion by saying that Christianity is the foundation and bulwark of all of our most cherished values, and it's a bulwark against the enemies of the West, such as Islamism, wokeism, China, Russia, etc., etc. Atheism can't defend us from these things, only Christianity can. Now, she did, as it happens, earlier this year, in a discussion with Richard Dawkins, address this issue of whether she actually believed the tenets and the truth claims of Christianity. She said, after much pushing by Dawkins, that she chooses to believe that Jesus rose from the dead and all the rest of it, which is a strange way of putting it, I think. Yes. Whoever keeps saying that, you're completely correct. So that's the new theism. But why is it dangerous? Why is it a threat to liberal values or liberal democracy or social cohesion? Well, it's because, apart from being historically, as a historical thesis, being wrong and absurd, there's lots of things that I could say about this, but one way in which to show that it's wrong is to note the nearly 2 millennia long gap between the ascension of Christianity to ultimate power in the West and the emergence of liberal modernity and the language of civil and human rights. Why didn't Christianity inaugurate these things in the nearly 2,000 years in which it was at its most influential? But that's so apart from being wrong as a historical thesis, it also gives cover to Christianity today, which we might have spent many centuries defanging, but which still poses a threat today. We haven't succeeded in that task completely. One could instance Donald Trump, who probably doesn't have a religious bone in his body, but if he, an almost out-and-out fascist, is returned to the White House next month, it will be largely the work of Christian evangelicals. One could talk about Project 2025, which Trump will try to bring in, most likely. One could talk about US American fundamentalism's funding of settlers in the West Bank for many years, which I'm sure you'll agree has not led to much progress in Israel and Palestine. Or we could talk about the US fundamentalism support for anti-gay bigots in Uganda, where it's now punishable by death to be gay. Or US fundamentalisms, and I don't mean to focus on the US, but Christian fundamentalism there is influential in an outsized way. One could instance the huge amounts of money that they have been pouring into the European far right for many years. But perhaps the most dangerous manifestation of Christianity today is in Ukraine. Ed West, in his article about the new theism, said that the return of Christianity, whether we believe it or not, could act as a social valium. That's a quote, social valium. Which is a strange thing to say, given that, the lands of Europe were barely dry of blood spilled by Christians before Putin launched what is an explicit holy war against the secular, degenerate, gay-friendly West, as represented in his demonology by Ukraine. Incidentally, since Hersey Ali says that Christianity is necessary to combat enemies such as Russia, that's an odd statement, I think. So overall, I think some of the biggest threats in the world today to liberal values, in pretty much any way you define them, come from Christians and Christianity. Not all, of course. Most Christians are nice people, and we have, as I said, spent many centuries defanging Christianity, which is one of the great achievements, actually, I think, of Western civilization. If we want to protect liberal values and social cohesion, I think we need to return, perhaps, to the irreligious, if not outright anti-religious roots of secular modernity, which can be traced all the way back to Epicurus, through Ibn Rushd and Spinoza and various others. In other words, don't allow the new theists to refang Christianity. Thank you.